Hey everybody, BTO Pro here. It's been a hot minute since I talked about this project, but I assure you we're still working on it. So today I am happy to announce the release of version 6.0.0, gotta have that Semver version in there, of HAXcms, the biggest feature release of any release of the platform. Heck, all the features are in Elms now, so biggest release of that platform in a very long time. So let's dig in as to what this is. So I've got this fired up in DDev locally. Um, First big one would be courses. When we're starting to build courses in HAXcms in our fun, happy, doodle jump-esque UI, we're now presented with how is this course organized. Now, I could do the original option, which is just make my own, get a starting point and run from there, or I can generate some predefined templates, or I can start from a Word document. So starting from a Word document looks something like this. So if I take, in this case, Music 11 Lesson 4, and I select it, this is going to throw the docx file at a Vercel endpoint, analyze the contents, turn it into the site schema that we support, and then build the course with all the content of that file to start. So this course space has all of the content that was discovered in that file. So we can see I don't actually have any content. I just have the structure itself of this material. But even just getting that starting point allows me to use the brand new outline designer much more rapidly. So I can collapse these away. I didn't actually want intervals, right? And we progressively are selecting and deleting all of these pages. Now, if I didn't want to delete all of them, I could deselect that. If I want to lock these from editing so that we don't mess around, right? I'll collapse that. I don't want to make a mistake because I'm about to take the glossary and move it as the first page. Oops, I actually want it as the second page. I can bump it down. I can indent it from the original. I can double click and change the title. I could then lock that if I needed to, or unlock it and duplicate this material. I could add a new page of content, and new pages, they need default content. So I can leverage the schema coming off of Hacks in order to know that I'm going to put a self check on that page. It's also going to have a heading, and it's going to say, check your knowledge. And so I can start to get into the guts of modifying the contents of the page prior to actually going to the page. At a very high level, I might know that I'm going to have a knowledge check. It's going to have an actual self-check thing, which is our fun little shark, check your knowledge block. Maybe it'll have an image, a bulleted list, a table, just some very basic ones. We don't get into too many types that we can add here, but we can add these ahead of time. You can see it's reorganizing hierarchically. So if I move this down to here, I could indent it and we can see that this moves along. So we can start visualizing that H1 through H6. I'm going to hit save. It's going to confirm, hey, I'm about to make 3 new pages, and 2 of the pages you have here will be updated. If I had anything issued for deletion, which let's collapse everything, and instead of locking those, let's mark that delete, right? I can hide the deleted ones so that I can know what it's going to be in the end. Or it says, hey, I'm about to delete 18 pages. So run through, tell it to do that. It's going to go and execute all of those operations and give me the output. Now, here's that new item with the boilerplate content on there, right? My check your knowledge, because I had that heading in there, auto linking to these different headings that I can do whatever I want. Or I can dive in, use hacks, and actually modify this material, even more complex things like this table using our brand new table editor. So very Microsoft Excel type of editing experience, right in line with the materials. You can add lots of styling to these, make things be able to be filtered based on column, modify these settings off on the side as well. I can dig down into my knowledge check, modify that as I wanted to. I don't know if it'll let me take a webcam photo of me while I'm on the thing. Oh, it'll let me take that webcam photo so I can throw that camera in there. Oh. All right. So I'm going to Save that page. I have my table exactly as I had it previously with my silly knowledge check and my image uploaded. Nothing crazy there. However, all of the reorganizing of the material stuck. We've got the ability to import files at this level. So this is starting down the pathway. We're going to allow for importing of other types of material, but just to get going, this is going to take, in this case, it read off that docx file, sent it to the Vercel endpoint, kicked back, and found all of this content in line of these pages. So the outline designer is going to quickly move from, hey, you can just reorganize all this material, to the ability to actually manage the content across material at scale. So you can see it detected that there's some math jacks in this material that I'm importing as the first page. So I could clean this up, be like, oh shoot, wasn't supposed to be the fourth page. This was supposed to actually be indented and called stuff, right? So I can make little tweaks from what the original file was, which is just headings and some paragraph tags. I forgot to take out a placeholder. We're not actually going to use any memes in here. And so when I confirm, it now just imported all of that material from my docx file. Now, in this case, I've actually put math jacks in line with the material in that docx file as well. It's kind of cool. And we're getting into some workflow stuff as well. So part of that had brackets around this to say, hey, we need a PDF file here. So part of what we're trying to do is really diligently match the production process of our faculty and staff. So as they're making material, imagine we're working back and forth in this doc file because it's just naturally easier a lot of times early on in development to work in a file format that you use for all kind of other files and just have a dedicated text editor where we're just modifying text and I don't want to think about the internet, I don't want to think about pages, any of that stuff. Work on it, turn it into headings, say, oh, we're going to need a piano here, or we're going to need an image gallery here, but I don't actually have that material yet. So we can easily drop a little placeholder into that file format and then have it output on the other side. So to see what that looks like, I'm opening up simple import docx just so you have an idea of what it looks like. There we go. LibreOffice. So, right, it's just a series of headings, and the headings get turned into pages, which, if this was a heading 2 instead of a heading 1, then when it goes to import, it will indent that down as a child page. But then I still have the ability to clean it up. Now, yes, there's a lot of just like weird gobbledygook in here, but it was able to take that bracket, right, and say, oh, well, that's math. And so I could write math jacks in this Word doc, but still import it into HAX rather seamlessly. So I can go edit this after the fact, modify it, drag and drop my PDF file there if I really needed to, and be on my way. So it's just about getting you into authoring that much faster. Another big enhancement we have is insights, but you have to be in a production environment in order to properly leverage that. Insights will tell you things about the material. I'm in a development space, so I can call it up, but it won't really do anything. But it analyzes your site. Oh, well, at least that one worked on this page, so I sort of lied. It will analyze your site and give you insights into the material. So I should be able to at least do the high level insights. I could be wrong again because this is development. No, okay. So it said, hey, there's 11 pages. You don't have any external links. There's not much reading in here. And here's the last time these things were updated. But when you get into like link checkers, it'll automatically find and check links to verify that all the links in your content work. Content browser, so you can slice and find maybe all the pages that have videos on them. Media, so you can see all the images or videos you use across pages of content. So it's a really powerful tool that we're going to keep expanding out based on what our production staff needs to get their job done more effectively. So a couple other small things. There's now the ability to share this, and it has some ability to disable features if you want to share a really customized version of this. Sometimes we share and embed our material in like learning management systems. So this will give a specialized link that disables certain parts of the UI. Again, I can't actually execute that here because I'm an editor. See if I can, if locally work with disable features. No, it doesn't seem to want me to disable features locally, although I don't also have RSS and print. So that would be part of that problem. Anyway, so we have insights. Another big one is the ability to internally reference content. So I can make that content on the page a link. Right now, I'll just say like stuff. And I can, instead of it being a URL that goes to stuff, I could say I actually want that to link to the change the title page. We can save, and then that way when I click that, I internally linked to that other material. Another very unique tag that we have in here now is called site content. And site content will allow you to reference a remote site's material. Actually, site content doesn't want to be placed at that page because glossary is a managed page. So site content, there we go. Site content can it can render stuff internal to here, which is of limited utility if you want to render one page within another. What's far more useful is pointing to external content. And so with the selected, it says selected site content. What this does is it lets you point at any other HAXcms site anywhere. It has to be public. And then it will analyze that site and allow you to pull the contents of that site in context to what you're working on. So if you really need to reference my about page from my online course in this other material, I know a silly example, it's all here pulled in the exact same way it's rendered there, plus automatically licensed based on what the license of that site is. If you don't want that, right? Maybe I'm making a new course. I always use the same silly language with the Joker image, but I gotta make it custom for this one. You can break the reference, and it'll leave the contents here with some knowledge that they did come from where it was, right? So it still has that, but now I can go in and I can actually modify the material and hit save. So it'll keep my saved content from there. It's a little goofy because I'm again in local development. But so we're rolling this out shortly. We've had a lot of features added via our new request intake process, based on feedback we've had and what our priorities are. Coming up, we're going to be focusing more on the outline designer. The outline designer is kind of a tricky beast, in my opinion, because you kind of have to make it and then gain feedback about the way people are using it and labels and things, because we don't have a lot of examples to go off of for it as far as solutions other than like folder trees. So, getting feedback from our users, if that makes sense, if it makes sense that I could drag and drop that out of there, looking for bugs and things like that. So hoping our next release is much more revision oriented around outline designer and insights. But that's most of what you can do in 6.0.0, as well as all the things you used to be able to do. It's, as usual. Plus a bunch of memory management things that were cleaned up. Next release will also focus heavily on cleaning up these items, which have previews now as well, which is a new feature I forgot to mention. Just get a nice little preview of what you're about to put on the page prior to doing it, in case you need to know what the lesson overview tag is, for example, or an image comparison. Happy New Year.